Good day, everyone. This is Pat. Welcome to my place, brought to you as a courtesy of Mr.Snuff. We last left off at the end of the 15th century when Christopher Columbus had returned to Spain from his second voyage to Hispaniola. Now, the 16th century in Europe is the beginning of Western capitalism. New values are created by the Reformation and the Renaissance. There's still a heavy-handedness with religious dissenters, and many states are becoming more centrist. The greatest economic and demographic changes were engendered by the transatlantic trade. The world is changing, and tobacco is definitely part of it. Tobacco use in Spain didn't take off right away. In the early 16th century, Spain had rooted and almost annihilated the final American civilization, the Aztecs. The indigenous first people of America were considered infidels and ultimately dispensable. One of the many taboos was smoking. This rendered the infidels much closer to the church's arch-enemy, Satan. The Spanish and Portuguese were both fervently religious societies. Now, the French chose an original way of dealing with the native people in America, as seen by the explorer Jacques Cartier, who discovered Canada and took it as a colony, calling it New France. The first people, the Iroquois, were considered more of trading partners and more of an actual civilization than the Spaniards thought of the Incas, for example. Seeing that friendship and trade were a better solution than physical violence, Cartier, when he returned, spoke in a very flattering way about tobacco. And in France, the plant was seen as something positive. The real introduction of tobacco to France was made via Jean-Nicot de Villemain. Nicot was a scholar and diplomat who first brought tobacco to France in the mid-16th century via his stay in Portugal as the ambassador there. Now, he was confident enough to send tobacco plants and seeds to Catherine de Medici, the Queen of France, as a New World panacea. She was the first woman in French aristocracy to proclaim the benefits of nasal snuff, curing everything from toothache to tumors. The plant was beginning to be seen everywhere in royal society. Nicot promoted the idea of tobacco as a medicine. 16th century medicine held the Galenic view. Galen was a 2nd century Roman physician, believing the body's health was based on balancing 4 humors: phlegm, yellow bile, black bile, and blood. Each humor had a temperature, hot or cold. The idea was trying to correct imbalances in these humors, using botanicals and bloodletting. Nicot used tobacco as a newfound medicine within this context. Tobacco, being hot and dry, would balance wet and cold humors. No one can be sure of the affirmed cures, but several miraculous recoveries from tumors were reported. In France, snuffing gains popularity, and smoking is accepted as a less popular alternative. In Spain, smoking had been restricted to the New World and a few unfortunate souls that attempted their habit. However, a few decades later, tobacco was accepted in Spain via the clergy. In America, the Catholic missionaries, priests, and higher clerics are easily habituated to the plant, but only in its powdered form. Snuffing was overtaking Western Europe. Towards the last half of the 16th century, a complete turnaround from the Catholic Church was observed as reports from Portugal of Jean-Nicot's successful cures using tobacco. And thanks to the Queen of France, Catherine de Medici, the word spread quickly through Italy. Some promoters of this magic substance, Cosimo de' Medici, the Bishop of Saluzzo, as well as Monsignor Prospero Santa Croce. In 1565, Nicolas Monardes, a doctor from Seville, published a pamphlet called Joyful News, extolling the benefits of tobacco. And I quote, "Tobacco is an effective cure for any illness of any internal organ, for bad breath, for kidney stones, tapeworms, toothache, tiger bites, and for wounds from poisoned arrows or any other manner of wound." End quote. This publication helped change the perception of tobacco from the devil's herb to a New World medicine. At this stage of European tobacco lore, most tobacco consumed was produced domestically and used in herbal medicine as poultices. snuffing was spreading beyond the French court, principally through the efforts of the country's physicians. The more potent tobacco was imported from Cuba, as it had stronger medicinal qualities. The demand of the imported variety encouraged many Spanish and Portuguese vessels to import large cargoes of the herb. The price skyrocketed, and the plant became exclusive to the rich. As we shall see later on, tobacco will evolve from a medicinal herb to just pleasure. Tobacco is being accepted first in Portugal and Spain, then in France, then in Italy. Next stop is going to be Great Britain. Hang on to your hats. We'll see you next time. Snuff said.